stop the music, please? Thank you.
Not a problem.
What up, fam? It's me, your favorite friend, your favorite cousin, your favorite uncle, your favorite brother, your best friend's best friend. It's me, Dr. Larry. Welcome to the Living For You YouTube channel. Once again, I encourage you to sit down, come to the table. We have us a real good but short dialogue today. And we're going to get into all of that. Of course, as normal, I encourage you guys to subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know when I release videos. And also just kind of share your comments and meet me up on social media, Dr. Larry Smith on Instagram and also on Facebook. Welcome. Today is going to be very, very, very interesting because I got comments and questions on social media about my religious beliefs, spiritual beliefs, whether or not I believed in God or was I an atheist, which was a very interesting question. And I think it's a good question. So I decided to do a video on whether or not I'm an atheist. What is my spirituality? Do I believe in God? And the short answer to that question is, of course. Obviously, yes, I believe in God. My background in religion has been a long, storied background in religion. I was born and raised for many years to be Catholic. Up till I was about 13, I was Catholic. And then became Jehovah's Witness through my parents and then eventually through myself up until I was about 24. By the time I was 24, I really kind of got out of religious beliefs for a while and I stopped going for about 3 years. And then after about 3 years, I encountered unity, new thought, these thinking. And I did that for a while and I still participate in and out of there more than anything as a religious practice. But for me, I consider myself more spiritual. For those of you who have gone and read my bio, you can go to www.liveforyoucoaching.com and you can get my bio. I am an ordained minister. I am a metaphysical interfaith minister. And I am also a doctor of religion, if you want to say that. The doctor in Dr. Larry, I actually have a PhD in comparative religious studies. And so I am very much a religious-minded, religious scholar, study of religion and spirituality. My own personal spirituality is that God, the creator, the source, spirit, as I generally refer to God as, is everywhere and in everyone and in everything. Everything has some component of presence of spirit within it. Right, or within us, we all do. I believe that spirit is the spirit of creation, and that spirit is the spirit of connection in everything. And so that kind of mandates how I treat other people. I do not consider myself a person who just disrespects people or treat people unfairly, even folks I don't know. People I know and people I don't know. I always approach them with a measure of respect, care, and compassion. And I equate that to my sense of reflection of spirituality from me, spirit within me reflecting in them. And I acknowledge that. And because I acknowledge that, I wouldn't ever do anything to disrupt that connection that we have. So I generally try to be nice and kind and compassionate to people because I see God in them. And so God is extremely, extremely, extremely important to me, right? I like candles, crystals. Crystals have very spiritual component. I always carry crystal. The sea salt and the essential oils and all kinds of things. I want a connection to the spirit realm all the time around me in a consistent basis. So to answer the question, am I atheist? No. I do believe that there's a sense of higher being beyond us and beyond our knowledge and intellect, and that spirit being should be acknowledged, accepted, and embraced, and cared for and loved. Now, I think it's important to know how I perceive God. A lot of times people in traditional religion, we've been taught that God is benevolent, but we've also been taught that God is precocious and all-knowing and omnipotent and judges us and treats us a certain way and condemns us and can destroy us and all of those things. I do not subscribe to that God. God does not judge me or you, in my opinion, in my beliefs. And God is not this all-powerful watching over us in the attempt to judge and destroy us. Do I believe God is all-powerful? Yes. Do I believe God is all-knowing? Yes. But do I believe God has the desire to do half of the things we do, we attribute to God? No. I believe many times, instead of us seeing ourselves as a reflection of God, we see God as a reflection of ourselves. And so when we look through middle-aged art, or when we look through the Bible, or when we look through the Quran, or many different religious texts, all of which I've studied, we tend to show God as being somewhat almost a humanistic God with emotions and feelings and thoughts and judgments and angers and responses to things that an all-knowing God shouldn't respond to, because if you already knew, you wouldn't respond to it. If I already know walking towards the couch, I'm going to bump my toe and hurt myself, either I'm going to avoid the couch or I can't get mad because I already knew it was going to happen before it happened. And so an all-knowing God doesn't get mad over creations of that were created by this God, and you know all about these creations. Why would there be anger and judgment? For humans, there is anger and judgment, but for God is so much bigger than anything we can possibly come to our mind to think exists. And I'm okay with that expansion view of God. I'm okay with not knowing everything about God. But I do feel the presence and the love that God has for me. And so that's why it's very important for me to try to communicate, connect, deal with this God. One of the things that I've found very fascinating is the study of spirituality and religion. In fact, as we're speaking now, I'm actually learning as much as I can and trying to ingest and grow and learn more about African spirituality. In my doctoral research, I focused a little bit on African spirituality as when I was doing a comparison of the New Thought spirituality and Pentecostalism, and kind of this idea of how we can cross over spirituality and see God as a bigger spirit of existence in a more metaphysical way. And so I focused on that, but that drove me to deal with at least part of my research in African spirituality. And so now I've been really reading and researching and watching videos and learning and interviewing and talking to people about African spirituality that I have such a profound interest in at this moment. And it's deep, right? You know, it's deep. And I think African people, African American people, African people in the Caribbean, we should find a way to connect to our African spirituality, because I think over the course of thousands of years, humans find a spirituality that speaks to them and that allows them to be the best, most holistic, most powerful them that they can possibly show up to be on this planet. And I think for Black people, for Africanized people, African Americans, getting in contact with our African spirituality is such a deep, profound thing. And I see that it really has been having an effect on my life, right? I've never been more proud of my life to be of African descent. I've never been more proud of my life of to where I feel fully connected to spirit, and spirit energy isn't just something I approach. It's something I carry with me everywhere I go. It's phenomenal. It's a phenomenal feeling. I meditate and I chant and I pray and I connect, and I can feel my connection a little deeper as an African person in the Americas, reconnecting with African spirituality. It's a phenomenal thing that I'm, like I said, really enjoying the privilege of being able to understand it and get to know it. It also traces many things in how I handle in my coaching. Spirituality makes its way into my coaching, right? Most of you already know, not only am I a certified life coach, but I'm also a certified spiritual coach. And some of my clients don't just want the life coaching aspect of it. They want some of the spiritual help that I also offer in my business. And so I'm able to turn to some of that African spirituality, or even some of the Hinduism and the Buddhism and some of the Christianity teachings and different things about candles and lights and smells that are able to, on a spiritual level, help my clients in a profound way. So because of my spiritual sense, I use that in my coaching, and I'm able to help people understand on a deeper level themselves. So say, for example, if I'm helping my client to process their emotions and not deny their emotions or masculating their emotions, but allowing some of the femininity in there to be able to understand their emotions. What I would do is I would say, God, spirit, is both masculine and feminine energy. And this is in spiritual coaching. God, spirit, the presence is both masculine and feminine, right? In that you have the beauty and the aesthetic of nature, that is flowers, vibrant colors, and fluorescent smells, and just this beautiful aesthetic that's very feminine. But you have that order and structure and how everything falls into place that is masculine. That is spirit manifesting and expressing both masculine and feminine energy. And because we are spirit beings, and some people say spirit beings having an earthly experience, then we have to manifest both of those and express both of those sides to be full. And so it is okay. It is actually acting as God when we express both our masculine and our feminine energies in a healthy, expressive way. See how that works? And so my spirituality, my God, it feeds into that. It adds to that. It admonishes that and helps me to help my clients. So I completely use spirituality, my beliefs, in a higher power and in the flow of energy to help my clients who want specifically spiritual coaching. But I can even use it within the life coaching aspect as well. So I am pretty much devoutly spiritual. Note, I'm not saying religion. And as I said earlier, I have studied religions from all over the world. I have not only studied them from the academic book sense, but I have literally gone several times to churches, to different kind of churches, to mosques, to synagogues, to temples, to circles, to circles and different things to experience different levels of religious take on spirituality. And so, but I got something from all of them. Like I got something from a Buddhist temple, pretty much the same feeling that I got from a Pentecostal church, or from a Muslim mosque. I got the same thing that I got from a Jewish synagogue, right? It was that connection to spirit that I was longing for. And I got it sitting in my car. I got it sitting in a field, But the point is, it's powerful when people come together on a one accord to connect to that spirit. And that's the benefit of churches, mosques, synagogues, and even prayer circles, right? So religion plays that dynamic in that it is a connection for multiple people to share in that connection, at least, of what they're wanting spirit to be for them. And that's the powerful, that interconnection is very powerful. So religion has a place, and I enjoy religion, but I consider myself a spiritual person. In fact, I consider myself a spiritual Christian, a spiritualist Christian. I use Christian in the idea that the teachings of Jesus, specifically what I know to be the teachings of Jesus that are gotten from Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, is how I try to emulate my life. So I try to copy what Jesus would have done if Jesus was a modern man in 2020, right? How would Jesus treat people? How would Jesus see himself? What would Jesus be engaged in? So and so that's why I call myself a Christian, is because my model, my example has been Jesus. And I only chose that example simply because that's my life. I grew up in Christian faiths, and I actually had an appreciation for Jesus in my Christian faith. But if I was a Buddhist, it'd be someone else. If I was a Muslim, it'd be someone else. Even though I appreciate those people too, and I do get value from what those people and those lessons that they left behind, just as much as I get from Jesus. But I model my example of Jesus. But on top of that, I'm a spiritualist, right? I believe in connecting to spirit. I believe the most important thing that you can get from any religion is the connection. Period. Without connection, religion is pointless. And so for me, I'm more about the connection. So my connection as a spiritualist, connecting to the divine by any means necessary through modeling my behavior, how I treat others, loving my neighbor, and not really paying regards to deep restrictive rules as Jesus would have. A lot of people don't realize how radical Jesus was. Jesus was pretty radical, kind of tearing down the establishments that were put before him and saying that the real deal is to connect to spirit. That is what Jesus was about. And so, yes, I have spirituality. Yes, I believe in God. No, it's not the judgmental, harsh, criticizing, cruel, destroying God. It is a loving God. It is a God that I connect to, that I see in myself, that I see in other people, that I see in nature, that I see all around me, that is pervasive and loving and wants and creative, right? That keeps building and expanding and creating and constantly going and never ending. And of course, that attached to how I feel about lost loved ones, that I feel that while they're no longer physically with us, because they're connected to spirit, they're still with us, and that we still can ever connect and be with them, and they'll always be with us, even though physically they're not. A lot of times, even religion gets caught up in the physical, when to me, the physical is not what's important. That is kind of like a glass of water, right? We drink water all the time in a glass. But when we're drinking the water, is the glass really important? Or is it really just a vessel to hold what's really important and what we're benefiting from? And that's the water. And so for me, religion is the glass that contains the spirit, or that could, if done right, contain the spirit. And that our purpose of it is really just to get to the water, just to get to the spirit. And so yes, so to answer that question, I am spiritual. I do believe in God. I am not an atheist. Now, I will never shade or shame an atheist. That is not something I would ever do, because everybody's walk is different. While we're all headed in the same direction, I don't expect everybody's walk to be the same. And so because of that, I allow atheists to be. I do not dictate their morality. I do not think that they cannot be moral people just because they don't believe in a higher power. I believe there can be moral people who live good lives and who treat others fairly. That is just their way of seeing it. And I don't shade or shame it or have even a deep opinion about it. All I have an opinion about is what I believe. I tell people what I believe and how I feel for me. And it works for me. And so I appreciate the questions. And I'm glad I got a chance to explain that. And of course, throughout this channel, I'm going to incorporate more spirituality into it. As I always do, I tend to kind of have an underlining, like an undercurrent of spirit either way within my videos and in my coaching and how I do things and in my life. And so it's important that you see more of that. We can do more videos in which we talk about spirituality and we talk about things like that. I think that would be a good thing to add, because that is part of who I am. I am a spiritual coach, so I guess I should add more of the spiritual component. So I'll talk about things that I do, and we can get more into that as well. But I think it's important to know that, spirit to me, what I believe, is a very important component of our lives, right? There is more that exists that we don't see than what we actually do see. And that which exists that we don't see, in my belief, is what really is. Everything else, the things we see, are illusions. That's the illusion, right? And I think when we start to see each other and see ourselves and the world beyond the illusion according to spirit, then we start to get along, things start to change, and we do better overall in society, I believe. And so, yes, to me, spirituality is super duper important, and so we will incorporate more. I know this wasn't what typically you expect, but I wanted to answer that question because I wanted people to know that what I do is rooted in spirit. What I do is rooted on a deeper level. My whole passion, what I feel like is my passion for life, what I enjoy doing, is rooted in helping people. But I only feel that sense because I feel that's what God or spirit wants me to do. And I do it, and I put my all into it. Hence why I come twice a week with these videos, and I created Live For You coaching, and I'm writing, and I'm doing things, and I'm connecting with you all at the table as family, because I want us to grow together and live the most healthy, holistic, spiritual, passionate, wonderful life that we can live. And I believe all that's possible right now. Right here, right now, today. It's just all about how we see and think in our minds. It's what we're experiencing. So that's it. I'm not going to pull you through more of my spirituality. I bless you and I wish you all the best, and I'm thankful for the questions. Keep them coming. Remember to subscribe and to follow. Let's grow together. Let's be better persons as Black men. That is what we do, right? We're trying to be better and we're trying to grow. And I'm here for you. I'm here to support you. Let's support each other. I love you. And until the next video, have a great time.